Hi Natalie, thanks for meeting with us today to talk about all things water. Our names are Georgia and Izzy. We are members of the Green Team at Grade 3 and we're a Resource Smart School. The Green Team role is to encourage respect for our planet and to lead our school community towards reducing, wasting and being more sustainable. We're excited about finding out how we can be more water conscious.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me today. It's great to meet you both. I've heard a lot about your Green Team, so you should be very proud. I know you do a lot of things in the area of sustainability. So my name is Natalie and I work at Gippsland Water. My main role, the thing I spend most of my time doing, is educating students just like yourselves all about water. And at Gippsland Water, what we do, we've got two really important jobs that we do. The first one is that we make the water that goes to schools and homes and businesses in our area safe for people to drink and use. And the second thing we do is to clean water after it's been used. So water might have been used in the toilet, in the washing machine, the dishwasher, we might have washed our hands, had a shower. All of that goes down into a sewerage system. We take that away, get rid of a lot of the germs and anything else that might be in there before it can be released back into the environment. So there are two important jobs. So we really care about water at Gippsland Water. I'm delighted to be here with you today to answer some of your questions.
Thank you. All right, let's see the first question. What are some ways that schools can save water?
Yeah, fantastic question. So I'm going to ask you a question. Have a think about yesterday and maybe last week too. What were some of the things you did at school that involved water? Where were you and what were you doing with water?
Washing the worm farm buckets in the worm farm. Yes, the same for me. I wash my hands before recess and lunch and I drink water.
Yep.
At PU.
Fantastic.
And flushing the toilet.
Flushing the toilet, yeah, we use lots of water in the toilets, don't we? So I'm actually going to start with talking about the toilets. Do you know it's your school, do you have a toilet that has dual flush on it?
Yes.
Two buttons, yeah?
Yes.
So that's called a dual flush toilet. And do you know what they're for?
One is for when you do one is a full flush and one is a little flush, a half flush.
Absolutely. So the full flush is what we need to use if we've done a poo and we need a bit more water to go down to flush that away and get those germs away. And the half flush is when we've done a wee. We've only got a little bit that we need to flush away. Did you know for most toilets, if we use the full flush, we're using about 6 litres of water every single time we flush the toilet. But if we use the half flush, we only use half of that, about 3 litres of water. So that's a way immediately we can all save some water, is making sure we make use of that half flush button, because that can save a whole lot of water by doing that. Another thing you mentioned about washing hands. So washing our hands is really, really important. We need to make sure we do a really great job of getting all those germs away. But after we're finished, we need to be really careful to make sure we turn off the taps. Okay, so making sure we're not rushing back into the playground, making sure we do take a little bit of extra time to turn those taps off is really important. If you were to walk into the toilets at school and you saw a tap that was dripping, what do you think you might do to help save some water?
Try and stop it, and if we can't, we'd go and tell a teacher.
Fantastic, exactly right. So you tried to turn it off, even if it wasn't you that left the water running, just being responsible with that water, realising that it's getting wasted. And if you've tried your best and it's still dripping, like you say, let a teacher know, or maybe let someone in the office know, because they might need to get someone out to fix that tap so it stops leaking. Because lots and lots of water is wasted in schools each day because of taps that are left dripping or running that shouldn't be. You mentioned your veggie patch. So do you have a water tank or some water tanks at school?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you do. Fantastic. So I love to hear that. This is a picture of a beautiful water tank. Can you see that one with a bee on it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's from the Seed Community Garden in Sale. So it's a new garden that's just been built in Sale. So what that's doing is that's capturing the water that's landing on that roof just behind it. So we can capture that and then use it on the veggies that are there. So I love to hear that you've got some water tanks. So I'd suggest that for any schools that don't, look at installing some water tanks so that can be then used on the garden and on the veggie patches at school. And to get maybe a little bit of interaction and people talking about the water tanks and understanding the important role that water tanks play at school, we might want to do something like create a mural. So you might have a competition at school or something like that and create a beautiful artwork on your own water tanks as an idea, just to get people thinking about water tanks as well. Now, you didn't mention the art room, but that's another place that we do use quite a bit of water. So if we had maybe we were doing some painting in the art room, do you think you would just, when you're finished, do you think you would just run that under the water without a plug in the sink?
No, you don't really need to even fill up a thing half full. You just get 1 cup of water and then you just bring it over to where you're painting.
Yep, exactly. As you're going, and then when you're finished, you can also use a cup of water or a container of water to soak the paintbrushes in, rather than just having it flowing under the sink and all going down the drain. And that will get most of the paint or whatever it is that you're using out. And that's a great way of saving water as well. Another idea is you might want to have a competition or a bit of a project at school that encourages people at school to create some posters. So just like this one, someone's created one about reminding people to turn off the tap. So you might place that near taps in the bathrooms. You might have another one that's similar to that about using the half flush on the toilet doors or somewhere like that. That's another really great way of just little reminder messages about needing to save water. And your school is already a part of both of these programs, but there's some school kids that may not be aware of these programs. So Resource Smart Schools is a fantastic government initiative that's free. You get in touch with a local facilitator that's an expert in sustainability, and they can help you with all sorts of things at your school, like doing a water audit, helping with any sustainability projects that you might have, putting you in touch with local experts that might focus and specialise on different areas of sustainability. So it's a fantastic program. There's lots of learning resources as part of that program. And another program is SWEP, or the School's Water Efficiency Program. So what that does, at your school and every school, there's a big water meter. And what that does, you put a data logger as part of this program on that water meter, and it tracks how much water is being used. So then it can help identify leaks. So if, for example, it found that water was being used at night time or over the weekend when there was no one at school, it might indicate that there's a leak somewhere, which might be maybe underground, or it might indicate, and this is quite common too, that there's a toilet that continually flushes. So if we can get that fixed, we can save a whole lot of water being wasted, a whole lot of expensive water bills, and a lot of damage can be caused by water that's also expensive to fix. So that's a great program to be a part of as well. It also gives you some real live data, some charts and different things that you can use in class, like science, environmental studies, and in maths. So it's a really great program to be a part of. Another thing, just like you guys, you've got in touch with me. So I'm from a water corporation in the Gippsland area. There's other organisations just like us all around the state that have educators like me that can come out to schools and visit, provide resources and things that help support education around water. Different aspects, but especially about efficiency, using water wisely. Any more questions for me?
How can we save water at home?
Yep, at home. So it's saving water at home. Again, similarly, have a think about yesterday. What kinds of things did you do at home with water?
I had a shower.
Yep.
I brushed my teeth, and we boiled eggs.
Yeah, so we cook with it, don't we? Yeah, we clean with it. Yeah.
Boiled water in the kettle.
Yep. Drink water. Fantastic.
Yeah.
We use it all the time, and it's funny because we often have to think about it. We do take our water for granted. we'll start with a shower because most of us use probably most of the water that we use in our household actually gets used in our showers. So on average, Australians have about a 7-minute shower, and I know people that have showers much longer than that. But if we can reduce the amount of time that we're in the shower, we can save heaps of water. So most shower heads, they let out about 2 buckets worth of water, 18 litres worth of water every single minute. So it doesn't look like it when you're under the shower, but that's how much is coming out. So if we can reduce the amount of time we're in the shower to say about 4 minutes, that will save heaps of water. And one way we can do that is by having something like this. This is a shower timer. So I have one of these on my shower at home. And what it's got inside is some sand. And when it gets to the bottom, it means it's time to come out of the shower. So we have that at home. It reminds my family to be careful with the way we use water in the shower. Another great idea is to find some songs that are about 4 minutes long, and you can play one of those. And once the song's finished, it's time to hop out of the shower as well. So they're great reminders to help us make sure we're not spending too much time in the shower. Another great idea is like this little friend I've got here in the cartoon. He's got a bucket in the shower. So it kind of looks like he's in the bucket, but he's actually, I think, standing behind the bucket. What do you think he's going to do with the water that he captures in there?
Probably try and like save it or something and like, put it on his plant or something like that.
Absolutely, fantastic, yes. So putting that on the garden outside is a great way to save and use that water rather than it just all going down the drain. It's perfect for our gardens to use that kind of water. Good job. Okay, brushing our teeth you mentioned as well. So when we brush our teeth, do you think we should be brushing our teeth probably for about 2 minutes at least? Would it be a good idea to keep the water running, do you think, that whole time?
No. You only need the water when you're spitting out the toothpaste and when you're washing it.
Yeah, just like this little girl is doing. So she's turned off the water as she's brushing her teeth. So you might want to wet the toothbrush to start with, turn the tap off, put your toothpaste on, brush, 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 and then when you're finished, you turn the water back on to rinse it, but don't have it running the whole time. That would be a big waste of water. Great. Okay, our washing machine. So with our washing machines, it's really important that we have a nice full load in there rather than just 1 or 2 things in there. So we've got lots of things, just like this lady, she's putting lots of things into her washing machine. That's a really great way to save water. Something we can all do is making sure that we put our dirty clothes where they need to be, because that stops us having extra loads of washing because something's been forgotten. We don't want to do that. So it might be in the laundry that we put our dirty clothes, it might be somewhere in our rooms. Every household is different, but making sure we're doing that is a really great thing to do. As well as if our clothes are not too dirty, so they didn't get too sweaty or they didn't get too muddy, we might be able to wear them again rather than putting them in the wash and finding something else to wear. We can do that as well. Now this washing machine, can you see how it's got the door at the front and the clothes are going in at the front?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a front load washing machine and they tend to be more water efficient. So they tend to use less water to clean the same amount of clothes than one where the clothes go in up at the top. So if your washing machine dies and you need a new one, have a think about buying one of these ones because it's likely it's going to save you water at home. A dishwasher. I love this picture of this dishwasher. This little boy's helping out. There's lots of dishes in there. So similar to our washing machine, we want to make sure that our dishwasher is nice and full because our dishwasher doesn't have eyes inside of it. Most of them don't change the amount of water that they use to clean dishes if there's 1 dish or 50 dishes in there. So we want to make sure it's nice and full so that we're using all the water that goes in there to clean the dishes. Interestingly, dishwashers are quite water efficient these days, so it usually uses less water if we have a nice full dishwasher to clean the dishes than if we were to use the sink and wash the dishes by hand to clean the same amount of dishes. And it's probably because if we're using the sink, we'd probably have to empty the water out a few times to wash the dishes, the amount of dishes that go into a dishwasher. So if we're lucky to have one at home, that's a great way of saving water, as long as we're making sure it's nice and full. What are some of the things you might do outside at home with water?
Water the plants.
Yep. Is there anything you might clean outside?
Well, I have a dog, so we have a water bowl outside for him.
Yep. Pets need water,
the windows.
They? Clean the windows, yep. Absolutely. Or they might be washing the car as well. They're all things that we do with water. So I've got a picture of a lady here. She's got, can you see at the end of her hose, she's got a trigger nozzle at the end of her hose?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's pressing that down at the moment. You can see her hand is pressing that trigger. So that means the water will come out. It only comes out when we're pressing that trigger. So making sure we have those on the end of our hoses are really great. Because if she's watering this bit of the garden, then needs to walk to another bit, and maybe she needs to go over some concrete and things, she can stop pressing it down and stop the water from coming out as she makes her way to the other part of the garden. So it saves lots of water by doing that. And it also can be changed to for how much water comes out as well, which is really good. So we might only need a little bit of water, or we might need a lot of water, just depending on what we're watering and how much we're watering. So they're really handy. Making sure we keep our hoses in good order, making sure they don't have any leaks and things, and also checking our outdoor taps for leaks as well. They're really important ways to save water outside. Washing the car, again, fantastic to see this lady is using a trigger nozzle to do that. You can also use a bucket to fill up and wash the car. And another really good tip is to wash the car on the lawn, so then our grass gets a drink at the same time. That's another way we can make sure we're saving water and using it wisely. Another question for me?
How do we conserve water in summer?
Yeah, great question. So I actually think we need to conserve water all year round, not just in summer. And if we do all the things that we spoke about at school and at home, we're going to be doing a great job of doing just that. But in summer, there's more sunshine around, isn't there? So what happens to water when there's lots of sun?
It starts to evaporate.
Exactly right. So it starts to evaporate, it gets heated up, turns from a liquid into a gas called water vapour that's actually invisible, and it goes up into the sky. Now, if we're trying to water our garden, we don't want that to happen. We want the water to go down into the roots of the trees and the plants that we're trying to grow. So avoiding as much evaporation over summer is really important. It tends to be more of an issue in the for us than in the cooler months. I've got a picture here of a really fantastic setup in a garden. So this, similar to at school, this man has a water tank at home that he'll be using to water the plants, and maybe he's got a veggie patch as well. He's also got, you can see his hand is on some timers. So he probably would water the garden after 6 o'clock and before 10 a.m. So after 6 p.m. and before 10 a.m. in the cooler parts of the day, where less water will evaporate away. That's really important to do. And also these timers are really handy, so we don't put the hose and the sprinkler on and then forget about it. We might get busy doing some playing or doing some homework or cooking, whatever it might be. We might forget about the water in the garden. So by putting a timer on, it stops issues like that from happening. So they're really good tips to have. Another fantastic thing is to make sure we put mulch in our gardens. So mulch kind of acts like a blanket for our garden. So it stops a lot of that evaporation going away. It stops the soil from drying out. It helps the water trickle down and get into the roots of our trees and our plants that we're growing. So mulch is fantastic. We tend to need to water less when we have mulch, and people estimate about 70% less. So it's a lot. It does make a really big difference if you've got mulch in your garden, so it's a fantastic thing to put there. It also feeds really fantastic nutrients to the plants as well that helps them be healthy and grow. This person, looks like they've just mowed their lawn and they're sweeping away the grass clippings. So do you think it would be a good idea to use that rather than a hose to do that job?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people might be tempted to use a hose to do that, but if we're being water wise, using a rake, using a broom, that's much better, more water wise way of cleaning up our garden. So I would definitely recommend that as well. And swimming, do you girls like swimming?
Yes.
Yeah, swimming's lots of fun, isn't it? So when we're swimming, we want to have fun, but making sure we're not splashing too much water out of the pool is really important. As well as, this is a great example of a pool that has a cover on it. So what do you think that cover would be stopping from happening if the sun comes out?
The water evaporating.
Exactly right. So it stops, it keeps it in the pool. Because if the water gets splashed out of the pool, or if it evaporates out of the pool, then we need to fill the pool up with more water. And pools are big and they use a lot of water. So the more we can keep in that pool, the more that we'll be saving water at home as well. So they're my top tips for saving water at home and at school. I hope you learned a few things. I've given you some ideas. It's been really great to meet you both and great questions.
Thanks for talking to us today. It's been great to learn more about how we can save water in our community.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome, girls. Bye.
Bye. Bye.